in Conversation, the November edition, and we are happy to be here. Myself and my co-host Courtney. You look beautiful as always.
Thank you.
You know what to do for the people, don't you? Listen, you could go low earlier, but you won't let me. Remember how you looked at me a moment ago?
Yeah, I did. But thank you.
Not you're going to agree and leave it alone. So we are here. We are going to talk about relationships and holistic living. We are going to finish the year up with that. And then in 2022, we're going to continue with something else, but we wanted to finish that up. And then we have Dr. Matt here with us, Dr. Matt Wilmot, who is here with us. As many of you have seen, we have a book that is currently in the publishing phases of You and What Army, Redefining Self and Community. And so we want to talk about that a little bit, as well as answer the remaining two questions that we had from the last segment. But before we do that, we want to talk about our vendors. For those of you that are watching in other areas, we want to give you all an opportunity to introduce our vendors to you. So we're going to have our first vendor come up, Coffins, African Beauty and Fashion. Come on up here, Miss. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Astrid Kofi, and I am the owner of Kofi Co. African Beauty and Fashion, specialized in African accent jewelry, clothing, beauty supply, shea butter, body blends, and soaps that I make myself. So I can be reached on Facebook under Kofi Co. African Beauty and Fashion at Etsy, and also on eBay. Right now I'm working on my personal website, but just bear with me.
Yes.
Yes. So beautiful items, great items for Christmas gifts, Mother's Day gifts, men and women. So please take the time to stop and check what you have.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, before you leave, can you spell the Coffins for the people? You said Coffins, African.
Kofi Co.
Okay.
COFFICO. African Beauty and Fashion.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So those of you that are here, she has her items up front. So please see her. Please support, because that is what it is all about. Support, support, support.
Yes.
Because one day you will want someone to support you. And so support, support, support. I do it, and I love when I see it. So let's support so that she can continue to grow her business. All right? All right. So next we have Tay, my brother, who is here with us. He makes me sick. Who is here? Who is here with us? And he is with Trap Gear, and he is also a vendor. So tell the people about you, Trap Gear, and where to find you. Yes.
I own the proud owner of Trap Gear, which stands for Take Risk and Patiently Prosper. We are located at 1330 Courtright. The whole purpose of my store is for everybody to be able to shop, be fly at a reasonable price. So everything in my store is $100 and under. You do not have to go to the mall and spend $1 million to look fly.
Yay!
He's so modest.
Yeah, I am. We are about to drop with our own clothing line, with our own line, which is what I have one right here. The front of it says "Don't Swing," because I'll figure everything. We just come with like different catchy sayings. We are positive, very, very positive for our community, and I would be ready to work with any other vendors that's out here who would like to work together. Our space is also a space where we can have events, come together, do pop-up shops. So we're ready to work with anybody. You can find us at our website at www.trap, that's 2 P's, TRAPP, gear.com.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we are grateful for both of our vendors being here. So please support. Nancy stated he's $100 and under, so you can look good and not spend your light bill money. Look at God, won't he do it? I'm just saying.
When you look at that fly, you don't even look like it.
Oh Lord, well, you need your lights.
Yeah.
Because y'all look at yourself. Yeah. So you need to look how you look.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta look how you see and look how you look in the dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely need that. So you can buy with wisdom.
Yes.
Look at that. My God. So you make me sick. So as I said, before we get to the questions, and we're not gonna be before you long, but as I said, Dr. Matt and I have a book. Did you get a chance to read some of that stuff? I know you did.
Thank you.
You be on it. You be on it. I knew it. You be on it. You like, yo, he ain't gonna get me. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, you like, oh, he ain't gonna get me. Yeah, you was on it. You was on it. So we co-wrote the book, and we co-wrote the book to help people in our community. First, as we know, a lot of us, we are conditioned by how we grow up. And reality is that our parents didn't all do it right, grandparents didn't all do it right, and etc. So a lot of times we just pour into people what's poured into us. And we don't evaluate what has been poured into us. And so this book is really a challenge to you and also education. So it helps educate you, but it helps challenge you at the same time to see what do I need to do to walk in my authentic self. So for your portion, Dr. Matt, I want you to talk about your portion and kind of what provoked you to write your part of the book.
For me, I think part of it was being inspired by your mantra of like the family being a social, an essential unit to both the uplift of the children as well as for the strength of the community. And so I wanted to take it to a step further of, okay, let's look at our communities and see what are we doing that can be adaptive for our prosperity, and how can we, when we look at things at a community level, how can we actually like anticipate and see change within the way we relate to each other. And so the main crux was, I'm a social psychologist by training, and so I like to take things, I like to take it even bigger within the aspect of person and situation, and see how does the interpretation of the community, what do we think about our community, affect how we then operate.
Right.
And so if we can change our communities and the way we look at our communities and see the prosperity or the potential and the prosperity that can be manifest, then we can. It can turn, not very, we don't come from the quintessential or traditional American family. We can still be prosperous even with the variety of families that we have.
Great. How do you think our community does, our particular community, with diversity? How do you think our community handles that? And what are some of the tools you can give out to some of our community members?
That's a good question.
Because I know you talk a lot about that in your portion of the book, about the diversity of our community. And not just sexuality, but also characteristic. Our attributes are different. And so when people don't understand how we function, and you probably experienced this being a leader yourself, sometimes we don't come from a family of leaders.
Right.
People view us differently. And so we have to navigate through that. Because a lot of us, honestly, and keep going whenever you want to, a lot of us, honestly, was not taught how to be leaders. We just navigated through trial and error. But we knew we wasn't born to be a failure.
Right.
But I knew I wasn't born to do it the complete way of what I was taught.
Right.
So how do you feel like our community handles diversity, handling diverse characteristics of individuals?
So I think we do a great job being aware of diversity and understanding that we're not a monolith, and we have a variety of creative minds and talents that occupy an intersection of like different identities. What comes from then awareness, and I think we struggle with sometimes, is being willing to educate ourselves on the things that are uncomfortable at a visceral reaction when it comes to diversity. Because diversity is not never easy, we know that, but it requires us acknowledging and accepting that difficulty when we move forward. And so when I think what we are doing, and as a community, especially as a Black community, to facilitate that is by having these types of conversations where we can be aware of not just that we have diversity, but that diversity has affected our experiences, has personal experiences, but also the collective experience.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Courtney, how do you feel being a female and a female of color? I don't want to say minority because culturally we're not a minority. So how do you feel being a woman and a woman of color with being in leadership and the gifts that you carry? How do you navigate through that?
How do I navigate?
Yes. I know it's a process. I know it is a process.
I honestly seek wise counsel. I've grown up, I didn't grow up in a leadership home when it comes to how to model these things properly, but I do know that my parents were leaders in their own way. When it comes to being a leader and being a woman and a woman of color is very difficult sometimes because, you know, I didn't have certain things and I feel like I lack. So then I don't educate myself, or I feel short. You know, I feel like I have the short end of the stick every time something comes my way. When it comes to just who I am as a person, I seek wise counsel. That is what I do. I'll talk to people who are older than me, people who have been there. I seek counsel of my friends. And I'm not talking about counsel like, you know, they agree with me.
Yeah.
Hell no. They do not agree. I'm close to them.
Cocktails and conversation.
You've been waiting to take a drink.
So just seeking people who have your best interest at heart, and the leadership skills, going to, you know, gain those developments, taking classes, YouTube, whatever resources, Googling, trial and error. You know, we fear failure sometimes. So really just seeking wise counsel.
Absolutely. And you know, what I love so much, and especially about you, but I told you this, like even like with my daughters, I tell them, they are Black females, you know, women of color. So there's a lot of things in the American society that are not fair, but it's reality. So we have to address our reality.
Right.
And like when you deposited into Brielle, my 12-year-old, like when I heard her through the door, because you don't know I heard her, and I'm not going to tell her so she don't know this, but like when I heard her repeat some of the nuggets that you deposited into her group of friends on their group chat, that meant a lot to me. Because I said, this is how it starts. It starts by someone depositing into you. This is how it begins. And this is how leaders, like the leaders we were talking about, our children, like becoming leaders, this is how true leaders are raised up.
Right.
By getting those seeds deposited. And so for me to hear, like her say, for example, you know, like Miss Courtney said, and to repeat it, I was like, listen, my baby, I was with the door and said, you better tell them. And I was like, I can't tell them, Daddy. Listen. So I can't just go in there. But that meant a lot. So with that, because I know you talk to a variety of people, like how do you feel our people are receptive to information that may be outside of their comfort zone?
I just read something recently to know, like sometimes you have to approach situations, especially people of color and leadership of color, you know, you have to be trauma informed. And if sometimes conversations seem difficult because you're not aware as to what's going on. How to redirect the conversation if you feel like this might be a little bit more touchy, this might be too sensitive for them. Why are they sensitive and they're a leader? Why are they sensitive and, you know, they're supposed to be professional? Well, emotions come into play to where you have to be self-aware and to communicate what's going on and to meet them where they are sometimes. But that is being self-aware. So if I'm talking to people of color, sometimes is there going to be some tension? But it's not everybody. You can have a conversation with people, black, brown, people of color, and still be professional, and it goes smoothly, and there's no issues. But then sometimes if there are those hiccups in the road, be trauma informed, because that comes with people. I'm a person of trauma, and I'm still healing. I can be a leader and have not healed it. And now to learn, like, how do I heal? We're talking about healing every day. Me and Jasmine are talking about, but how do we heal? I don't know how to heal. So diving deeper into that.
Yeah. And I think that to add to that, being trauma informed allows you to have the potential to grow and have what they call sometimes, I've been reading this recently, post-traumatic growth. Because then when you recognize that your trauma is something that you can have a handle on and that can inform your growth,
right,
then that's when your perspective deepens.
Yeah.
It becomes more ingrained in the potential that you see to come out of this, the silver lining of, the experience that you've been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. The commitment, a lot of times, well, I'll say verbalizing the commitment, a lot of times is easy for a lot of us. But the process is what's difficult. Because the process is what takes work. So I can verbalize, for example, someone needs to leave someone that's not at their level, that's someone that's, ready to grow. You can verbalize it all day long and say, they're no good for me, I'm ready to go, and etc. But it's the process that's going to become the end-all, tell-all. How I can tell how you're really ready to grow beyond that. And kind of like, as you really just said, the post-traumatic growth, and a lot of people have that PTSD to where matters are affecting them. We deal a lot with this, in our field. A lot of people have that that's affecting them, but they don't want to deal with their reality. And I tell people, a lot of people, and even I'm a spiritual person as well, and I tell church people it's great to speak scripture. It's great to speak those things that are not as though they were, and etc. But what is your reality? Where are you currently? Because that's how you get delivered. Not you speaking that you want a mansion and a cow on 1,000 hills. But where are you currently? And a lot of people don't want to address the reality.
Right, exactly, because I think it's easy to, ignorance is bliss. It's easy to consider, what could be as what's happening now, and we're great at, telling stories about ourselves that definitely do not have basis in fact. But that's, sometimes I'm a victim to it because sometimes I walk to my apartment that I live in thinking that it's a mansion because that's what I need to come home to. And my husband will tell you the same thing. We sometimes just brag about our space like it's a 4-bedroom house. Really, no, it's not. But I think that it serves those things tend to be good at best in the short term and worse in the long term. And we have to recognize, and I posted this the other day, what we're good at, what we need to be better at, and what we can do best at. And we need to make those distinctions because sometimes we blend all of them. We think that creating a fantasy in our life is the best thing we can do. What's the best thing we do is accept our reality and then build from there. And understand that, okay, in this reality I'm living in, I need to find what is essential for my survival. That is, whether that's putting food on your table, whether that's getting getting yourself in the right headspace, taking those committed actions to put yourself in on that road.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, we're not telling people not to have forward thinking because forward thinking is imperative, but to balance it. To have forward thinking, but address your current reality so that areas you need to discipline yourself in, you can discipline yourself in those areas. For example, I want to tell someone who is poor with finances to just believe God that you're going to get this BMW, but you can't handle the Pontiac. That's not reality. So you need to balance your forward thinking versus your current reality. And a lot of people don't do that. So from reading the excerpt, what is something that kind of grabbed you or that you thought about? And you don't have to say it exactly, but...
Right. So from reading the excerpt, I think self-actualization and realization are very hard for me. I'm coming into a space to where these are things that I need to work on. I've been lying to myself in a lot of denial. I was like, denying that. So knowing, like going back to that part where it talks about your reality. So self-actualization, where am I really being aware of who I am as a person? Who do I want to become? Not allowing people to put labels on me, not allowing people's actions or people's previous actions to determine who I am. Like, that's not me. But those are things like, oh, okay, well, whatever everybody said, that's my reality. I don't want to put in the work. I don't want to deal with the process, F the work, F everybody. Because I don't want to deal with myself. So now, sitting there, reading self-actualization, understanding, realizing who are you? Who do you want to become? Where are you at right now? Knowing that the person that you are right now, you can change. Like, forget about, oh, well, they're going to always be that way. I don't care about what you think about me. Just know that, there's a good person in everybody.
Yes, that's true.
Whether you believe it or not, there is something good. You know the difference between right or wrong. There's a good in it because you know to do the right thing and the wrong thing. Whether what you choose and what you decide is different. How you behave, how you choose to deal with your process, all that. So self-actualization, realization.
Yes, I love that.
It's lying to myself.
Listen, but we all have done that. That's the funny thing. Like, no matter how strong we are, we all have done that because we all have walked in that stage of denying. Like denying where we are versus where we desire to be. And one thing I try to encourage people is to think about who you desire to be on your new journey. Because everybody in your current state is not going to go. And a lot of times we think that we're going to take everybody along with us. It's going to be this kumbaya moment. It is not. Take that shit out your head. It is not. Get that shit out your head. It's not going to be a kumbaya moment. Everybody is not going to embrace or partake on your new journey. And a lot of times we desire that. Because we have a heart for people. But everybody's not going to go. And we have to accept that and realize that everybody's not going to go on the new journey. So I'm glad. So anything you want to wrap up with?
I think most importantly with this book, we are encouraging people to participate in the process as the book, in the process of reading this book. It's not a book that you're going to kind of just skip through every chapter. Each chapter has a different component that requires you to shine your perspective and put your perspective in comparison to the elements of the chapter, the stories in the chapter, and so
I agree. So where can people follow you, Dr. Matt?
You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. My website is www.heydrmatt.com. I'm also on Facebook as well. I'm pretty much everywhere now.
Beautiful co-host. Where can people follow you? Do you only give them limited information? Because I think someone wants your information for the wrong reason. But I can monitor it if you want me to. I don't mind.
I mean, I gotta handle myself.
I know you do, but I don't mind it.
Thank you.
You are. Take it off. She makes me sick.
I'm healing.
She makes me sick.
You can find me on my Instagram, free. The number 2, the word love, the letter
year coming next year, 2022, I'll be international. I'm going for my passport and everything like that. The first show that I think I want to have is going to be on or in Europe, in Amsterdam. So hopefully that'll be what it is. If it's not, then we'll go somewhere else in Europe. You know what I'm saying? But tonight, I'm going to start you guys off, or at least I want to start you guys off. I got 3 different sections of poetry that I'm going to read from. So tonight, just for you all, I feel like it's a special day. I'm going to read from my book. So my first poem will be from my book. My last 2 poems will be from my phone. So, we no longer name our poems because we grown. We a little bit beyond that. So you'll remember my poem for whatever you remember it for. My name is Bear with the Pen. Please bear with me. Hashtag poem. You're childish, so I hate you. Like I really do. You used to talk about me, so I fight fire with fire. You used to say, fuck you, so my response would be, fuck your mama. Your ugly was met with, shut your ugly ass up. You like to kick me when I was down. I remember the day I caught your foot and I broke that motherfucker. We found out I could fight, and it changed up the game. You stopped acting a fool and then you stayed in your place. I was strong growing up. You never seen me in pain until the one fateful days. You stayed in his shadow until pain went away. Then you replaced him. While in his shadow, you grew in his place. Started to act like the nigga like you grew up in his house. And that you did. When I lost some folks in my mind, I did a bid. You was the warden. My confinement was 24/7. Solitary. Sometimes you wouldn't let me eat. You watched me starve while you took breaks. I'd eat them. It almost broke me to make my plate. You knew me, so the things I told you in private, you said them out loud. You didn't spread my business, you just made it my virus. You talked me up in public, but you tore me down in private. Your word caused my tears, but you was real good at hiding. You're a wild thing. So here are some provisions when you are where you are. A blanket for the nights it gets cold and your verbal abuse sends chills down my spine. Tissues for the tears you helped to make but you didn't care to help wipe. A phone to call upon love because it said it would be right back. I'm just checking its ETA because ain't no sunshine when you gone. Oh, and since it's dark, you need to bring a flashlight too. Mind you, it's dark where the wild things are. The wild thing about the wild things is it'll keep you up all day but won't let you sleep at night. You'll be hungry or thirsty, so snacks won't be provided. Make sure you bring your own. I thought since we grew up, you was destined to change. I'm impressed to see that you actually haven't changed your ways. Depression. Ain't you childish? So, as you know, that poem is necessarily about depression. And I battled through it, through a lot of the things that I've gone through, like through the losses that I had in my family. I want to say when we are kids, as children, we don't really appreciate the things that we have. I am one to attest for this. I didn't appreciate my grandmother, but all the lessons that she taught me have came back and spoken to me within this time. So, let me find this other poem. This poem is a little bit lighter. So, hey, how have you been? I haven't seen you since I was a kid. Remember the days we used to stare at the stars? You were always good at science, but this is when imagination was really your vision. Remember how you used to stare at the stars, the little balls of light that we'd visit one day? Or how the darkness in the sky was not because of hours past, but because the light was tired and it dimmed after the day? Or how the birds would sing in the morning and we'd sing with them? Or how crickets chirped and we'd be like, where they at? Now it's my next tail I'm talking to see where you at. How we run to feel the wind in our hair because it made us feel free, or whisper when we said bad things, or feed the dog under the table when I was tired of eating green things. See, I lost contact with you when I was in middle school. That's that's when life kind of got serious. I made some friends and some enemies, found out I was into art, and I started taking it seriously. I could sing, I could draw, and my writing, it was real cool too. I used my imagination, something that you taught me to do. But how I have grown. I've gotten taller, my hair has gotten longer, and my problems, they've gotten thicker too. High school, that was a bitch. I hope you didn't have to go through the problems that I went through. Acceptance. Because it's funny, no one accepts you until you accept you. Even if you spell it, they can't respect you unless you respect you. Wolves are in sheep clothing. They heed what you say to herds and the crowds to spread your word through the waves of the wind. Pocahontas. See, it was funny when I heard my secrets on the grapevine, how drunk with rage I've gotten, even though I wasn't able to drink. How I thought my friends were my friends to the end, but I guess friends really aren't everything. I became an adult, and I met authors who rapped, who wrote fiction over fact. They had some real good stories, and I could tell their tales were real fishy, real catfish. They were eel cousins, slimy motherfuckers. After that, I started drinking. Then I started smoking. Depression got a hold of me. I cheated on folks, and then they returned the favor. I lost folks, and then I cut them off. But it was really good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. Damn, what's your name again? Innocence? So, I have one to maybe two more poems to share to y'all. After this next poem, you guys can tell me whether you guys want another one, and then I'll let you guys pick whether I do the crowd favorite or whether I do
Do the crowd favorite now.
do the crowd favorite now?
Yes.
All right. We no longer name our poems because we're beyond that. However, when I wrote this poem, it had a name. So, please bear with me. Baby with a wet cigarette. I will do everything in my power, like man trying to be God, to keep love afloat. You know what they say, Jesus is love, so please don't mistake where I'm coming from. Baby with a wet cigarette. Baby with a wet cigarette. Isn't there something in your stomach that you must protect? Like a strong mother bear, you'll bear teeth to any threat, yet your fetus will still know the taste of Nicorette. Baby with a wet cigarette. You spew fire like volcanoes and you ash upon tables you dragging you. Keep dragging that poison because your sons will come on poison when you pack your pack with Nicorette. Baby with that wet cigarette. You supposed to feed me light. You know, photosynthesize me like a plant so I can show you light. But the only photo I can synthesize, you crushing camels, eat your senseless night. I know life was stressful before I was ever forced to take my first pull, but now you got me nicking for nicotine before I even got to nick my teen years. Baby with a wet cigarette. Cops out here killing niggas by force, and you out here feeding me by choice. Baby with that wet cigarette. I'm connected to your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul. So you can always feed me smoke. But don't you ever feed me lies. Baby with that wet cigarette.
Yeah.
My name is Bear with the Pen. Thanks for bearing with me.
We want to thank you all for joining us tonight for Cocktail for Conversation. We are here every first Thursday. So we want you to join us. We are having relevant conversation to redefine lives in a radical. You better know it. You better know it. So, again, Courtney told you where you can find her. Tell the people they can find you again.
Free to love you, free, F-R-E-E, the number 2, the word love, the letter U on Instagram.
And I'm her admin on her page. I just made that up. But it sounded good, though. It sounded good.
I'm not 12.
Don't do that. Like our babies. Yeah. And so we have a quick announcement, and then we're going to close you all out. So Lachey, come on up here. Give the quick announcement. She was a little late. She thought she was in a Pentecostal service, not a Baptist service. So come on. We can stay up here. Oh, come between us.
Hello, everyone.
We can't hear you.
They can hear you.
Well, you know, I talk low, so. Hi, everyone. We first want to thank you guys for coming. Enjoy yourselves. This is our doctor of the Royal Prende family, Dr. Prende. I love him so much. We have a huge community advocacy weekend coming up. Today was the first kickoff.
Yes.
It was great. Thank you guys again. Friday, we had a community ball. Come out, enjoy yourselves. Saturday, Coral Queen Promotions will be hosting the Wild Side. Everything we say here in Columbus. If you guys not do anything Sunday, put your good garments on, the good gospel here and stuff, you know.
Don't change the church.
Good gospel, not come from church.
Don't change them.
Don't go to Popeyes. Don't stop and get y'all no Sunday dinner. We got a nice banquet meal for you all. Come, it's free to get in. We want you guys, it is free to get in. We are asking for donations, but again, it is free to get in.
We need donations.
Again, it is free.
We need donations for our
You know my manager don't play.
Thank you guys.
Let's take your donations at the door.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, Courtney.
Again, we want you guys to come on out, put your good gown, good dress on, honey. Have a nice time. Come see some good drag shows, some good performers. We are honoring the legends and icons of the Ohio family scene. What is that? We are the individuals who, you know, when our families don't want us, our families want to give us up because we are who we are. You know, we are a unit who sticks together amongst one another. We support one another. We love one another. We fight one another. But we do it all things for love. So, with that being said, we thank you guys. It is Prende Family Weekend. Thank you guys. Enjoy yourself.
Where can people find the information online?
Facebook, Instagram, at the Royal Prende Family. And that's it.
All right, listen. We thank you. All right, so we thank you for again joining us. You heard the information. Courtney and I thank you for joining us. Tony, who be running the network, and we thank you to all of the staff. Listen, we are looking to go up higher from here. Come look, you crazy.
But you too, I don't understand why your eyes are closed.
They're not. It's your life. You just don't understand.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because they're the same color.
All right, so have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.